The diner smelled like burnt coffee and regret, but the real stench came from Karen's words slicing through the air like a blade. "You're scaring the kids with that face," she snapped, loud enough for every head in the place to turn. Jake Harper, the man she was yelling at, stood frozen by the counter, his scarred hands gripping a to-go cup so hard the lid popped off. The burns on his face jagged, red, and raw made him look like he'd walked through hell and barely crawled out. But Karen, with her pristine cardigan and pearl-clutching glare, didn't know hell. She didn't know Jake had run into a burning chopper to drag a pilot out, saving a life while his own skin melted. All she saw was a monster in a flannel shirt, daring to exist in her perfect little world. The diner was a microcosm of Willow Creek, a sleepy town where everyone knew everyone's business, but nobody asked the right questions. It was a Thursday evening, the kind where the air felt heavy with unspoken grudges. Jake had only come in for a coffee, hoping to slip in and out unnoticed. He'd been back from Afghanistan for 3 years, but the stares never stopped. Kids pointed, adults whispered. He'd learned to keep his head down, but Karen wasn't one for subtlety. She'd been at a booth with her book club, a gaggle of women who treated gossip like scripture. Jake's presence, all 6'2" of him with scars snaking from his jaw to his collarbone, was apparently an affront to their delicate sensibilities. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking," Karen continued, her voice rising like she was auditioning for a TED Talk on self-righteousness. "You shouldn't be out here frightening people. It's inconsiderate." The room went quiet, save for the faint hum of the fryer in the back. Ellie, the young waitress behind the counter, froze mid-wipe, her rag dangling over a ketchup bottle. She was 19, barely out of high school, and had seen enough of Willow Creek's drama to know this was about to explode. Jake's jaw tightened, his hazel eyes locking onto Karen's with a mix of fury and something deeper shame, maybe, or just exhaustion. "Ma'am," he said, voice low but steady, "I didn't choose the scars, but I earned them." Karen scoffed, tossing her hair like she was in a shampoo commercial. "Earned them? What, in a bar fight? You look like you crawled out of a horror movie." Her friends tittered, though one looked uneasy, her eyes darting to the floor. Ellie stepped forward, her voice shaky but firm. "Mrs. Thompson, maybe just let him get his coffee." Karen whipped around, her glare pinning Ellie like a bug on a board. "Don't you start, Ellie. You're too young to understand how appearances matter in a community. We have standards." Jake's hand twitched, and for a moment, Ellie thought he might throw the coffee. Instead, he set it down, slow and deliberate, like a man defusing a bomb. "Standards," he repeated, the word dripping with venom. "You know what's below standard, lady? Judging a man you don't know jack about." The diner's other patrons were splitsome leaned forward, hungry for the drama. Others stared into their plates, wishing they were anywhere else. Karen, undeterred, doubled down. "I'm protecting this town. People like you make folks uncomfortable. You should stay out of sight." That's when the door jangled, and in walked Tom Carver, the local mechanic and the only man in Willow Creek who'd ever flown an F-16. Tom was pushing 50, with a limp from the crash that had ended his Air Force career. He'd been the pilot Jake saved, though nobody in town knew the full story. Jake never talked about it, and Tom wasn't one for speeches. But the moment Tom saw Jake cornered by Karen's tirade, his face darkened. "Karen Thompson," Tom said, his voice cutting through the tension like a buzzsaw. "You got a problem with my friend here?" Karen blinked, caught off guard. "Tom, this isn't about you. This man's appearance is unsettling." Tom limped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "Unsettling? Let me tell you about unsettling. 3 years ago, I was trapped in a cockpit, fire everywhere, thinking I'd burn alive. This man, he jabbed a finger at Jake, ran through flames to pull me out, lost half his face doing it. You want to talk about standards? He's got more courage in one scar than you've got in your whole damn soul. The diner went dead silent. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, like a fish gasping on dry land. Her friends shifted uncomfortably, their wine glasses suddenly fascinating. Ellie's eyes welled up, her rag now forgotten on the counter. Jake, though, didn't look relieved. He looked like he wanted to disappear. "Tom," he muttered. "Don't." But Tom wasn't done. He turned to the room, his voice rising. "You all stare at him like he's some freak. You ever ask how he got those scars? Or you just happy to whisper behind his back?" Karen recovered, her face flushing red. "Well, he could have said something. How was I supposed to know?" "You weren't," Jake snapped, finally breaking. "You didn't need to know. You just needed to shut up and let me live." The words hit like a slap. Karen recoiled, her indignation crumbling into something uglier, defensive pride. "I was looking out for the community," she stammered. "Someone has to." Ellie, barely holding it together, stepped between them. "Mrs. Thompson, just stop. Please." But Karen wasn't one for backing down. She grabbed her purse, shot Jake a final glare, and stormed out, her book club trailing like chastised puppies. The door slammed, and the diner exhaled. Jake didn't stick around. He tossed a crumpled 10 on the counter and walked out, his coffee untouched. Ellie watched him go, her heart sinking. She'd always liked Jake. He tipped well, never complained, and once helped her dad fix a flat tire for free. But now she saw the weight he carried, the kind no one in Willow Creek bothered to notice. Tom sat at the counter, rubbing his bad leg. "He doesn't talk about it," he told Ellie quietly. "Hates the hero label. Says it feels like a lie when people still treat him like that." He nodded toward the door Karen had stormed through. Days passed, but the incident lingered like a bruise. Karen never apologized. She doubled down on social media, posting about community standards and feeling unsafe. The town split. Some called her out, others nodded along, saying Jake should cover his scars or stay home. Ellie tried to defend him at the diner, but the whispers only grew louder. Jake stopped coming to town. His truck stayed parked outside his cabin, and the lights stayed off. Ellie drove by once, hoping to check on him, but the porch was empty, the windows dark. She heard rumors he was planning to leave Willow Creek for good. Then came the fire. It was a dry October night when the community center went up in flames. Faulty heater, they said later. Ellie was working the late shift when the alarm screamed. By the time she got there, half the town was watching the blaze, frozen in panic. Kids were inside, trapped in the basement during a scout meeting. Jake's truck roared up before the fire department. He didn't hesitate, didn't wait for permission. He ran into the smoke, ignoring the shouts to stop. Ellie saw him disappear into the flames, his silhouette warped by heat. Minutes later, he emerged, coughing, dragging 2 kids to safety. He went back for the third. He didn't come out again. The fire crew found him later, curled around the last kid, his body shielding her from the collapsing roof. The girl lived. Jake didn't. Willow Creek buried him on a gray Sunday, the turnout small but heavy with guilt. Tom spoke at the service, his voice breaking as he told the story of the chopper again, and now the community center. Karen was there, silent, her face a mask of something unreadable, shame, maybe, or just defiance. She left before the coffin was lowered. Ellie kept the wooden chalkboard from the diner, the one with Jake's coffee order still scribbled on it. She hung it in her room, a reminder of the man who'd saved lives while carrying the weight of a town's judgment. She wrote on it in chalk, "Scars tell stories of sacrifice." The town moved on, as towns do, but the whispers never quite died. Some called Jake a hero. Others said he was reckless, that he should have waited for the professionals. Karen posted a vague apology online, but it was more about her growth than Jake's loss. What does it mean to judge someone before knowing their story? Was Karen the villain? Or was the town's silence just as guilty? Share your thoughts on justice, community, and the scars we don't see.